In 1955, Rock Hudson stood at the altar with a woman he'd met just 72 hours earlier. The cameras flashed, the headlines screamed romance, and America swooned over Hollywood's newest fairy tale couple. But behind the perfect smiles and designer gown lay a desperate secret that could have destroyed the career of one of cinema's biggest stars. Hudson's marriage wasn't born from love. It was engineered in a Beverly Hills office by men in expensive suits who understood that in Hollywood's golden age, truth was the enemy of profit. For decades, the industry's most beloved stars lived double lives, their real relationships hidden behind carefully orchestrated sham marriages designed to protect million-dollar careers and preserve the illusion that fed America's dreams. Tonight, we're pulling back the velvet curtain on 13 couples whose wedding photos graced magazine covers and whose love stories captivated the world, but whose marriages were nothing more than elaborate business contracts written in white silk and sealed with forced kisses. And if you're ready to discover how Hollywood's most powerful studios turned love into their most profitable lie, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell, because this story goes deeper than anyone ever imagined. Judy Garland and Vincente Minnelli, the studio's perfect fairy tale. The flashbulbs exploded like starlight when Judy Garland walked down the aisle of St. John's Episcopal Church on June 15, 1945. 300 of Hollywood's elite packed the pews while thousands more lined the streets outside, all desperate to witness what the press called the wedding of the century. But behind MGM's carefully orchestrated spectacle lay a calculated rescue mission designed to save two careers teetering on the edge of scandal. Vincente Minnelli had arrived in Hollywood carrying whispers from Greenwich Village's jazz clubs, where his relationships with men were an open secret among New York's artistic circles. Meanwhile, Judy faced mounting rumors about erratic behavior and pill dependency that threatened her status as MGM's golden goose. Studio boss Louis B. Mayer saw opportunity in their mutual vulnerabilities, a wedding that could silence gossip and generate massive profits. The ceremony itself was pure theater, complete with exclusive photo rights sold to Life magazine for enough money to cover half the production budget of Meet Me in St. Louis. But reality struck swiftly. Within months, Judy discovered Vincente in intimate moments with male extras and gardeners. Their Beverly Hills mansion became a stage where they performed happiness for the public while living separate, increasingly desperate lives behind closed doors. The marriage produced Liza Minnelli in 1946, but even parenthood couldn't sustain the illusion. By 1951, when divorce papers were finally signed, Judy had one piece of advice for her daughter that revealed the hollow truth of their golden age romance. If you marry a gay man. At least he won't leave you for another woman. Rock Hudson and Phyllis Gates, the 72-hour marriage. November 1955 found Rock Hudson at the pinnacle of masculine perfection in America's eyes. His chiseled features graced movie posters from coast to coast, and his romantic leads sent audiences swooning in darkened theaters. But tabloid magazine Confidential had assembled a dossier of photographs and witness statements that could vaporize his career in a single headline. The evidence was damning. Hudson's real romantic life involved men, not the adoring female fans who made him wealthy. Henry Wilson, Hudson's powerful agent, orchestrated the solution with military precision. Within 72 hours, Hudson would marry Wilson's own secretary, Phyllis Gates, a young woman hungry enough for stardom to understand the unspoken rules of their arrangement. The wedding was deliberately modest, just paperwork at Beverly Hills City Hall, but the resulting photographs dominated front pages nationwide as proof of Hudson's heterosexual devotion. Their Hollywood Hills home became a carefully managed performance space where reality and fiction blurred into something almost surreal. Private Detective Fred Otash, hired by Phyllis to monitor her husband's activities, later revealed chilling conversations that exposed the marriage's hollow foundation. "Do you love men, Rock?" Phyllis once asked during a recorded exchange. The silence that followed spoke volumes about the price of maintaining America's most beloved masculine ideal. The charade lasted less than 3 years before crumbling under the weight of its own deception. When Hudson died of AIDS-related complications in 1985, his death finally shattered the romantic illusion that had protected him for 3 decades, forcing America to confront the human cost of its golden age fantasies. Cary Grant and Randolph Scott. The Beach House Love. In 1932, as Hollywood's moral code tightened its grip on acceptable behavior, 2 of America's most desirable leading men moved into a Santa Monica beach house that would become legendary in whispered conversations throughout the industry. Cary Grant and Randolph Scott told reporters they were simply sharing expenses and enjoying bachelor friendship. The truth was far more complex and dangerous for their careers. Their beachside sanctuary transformed each evening into something that would have scandalized conservative America. All-male parties stretched until dawn, filled with actors, dancers, and artists who found freedom within those protected walls. The atmosphere crackled with electricity that had nothing to do with the ocean breeze and everything to do with liberation from the suffocating expectations of public life. When Modern Screen published photographs of their domestic routine, Grant cooking in an apron, Scott shaving, both sunbathing together, panic erupted at Paramount Studios. The images sparked rumors that threatened both careers, forcing Grant into a 7-month marriage with Virginia Cherrill that existed only for photographs and legal documents. The moment divorce papers were signed, he moved back to the beach house as if nothing had happened. Their relationship endured multiple separations and studio-mandated marriages to women they barely knew. Through it all, secret letters and clandestine hotel meetings sustained a love that Hollywood's machinery couldn't destroy, only hide. For over a decade, they lived between 2 worlds, the scripted romances demanded by their contracts and the authentic connection that flourished behind their beach house door, proving that even the industry's most powerful forces couldn't completely extinguish the human heart. Rudolph Valentino and Jean Acker. The Locked Bedroom Door. When Rudolph Valentino became the world's Latin lover in the early 1920s, his exotic appeal created an unexpected problem for studio executives. The same magnetic qualities that drove women to faint in theater aisles also sparked whispers about his refined sensibilities and unusual relationships that didn't conform to conventional masculine expectations of the era. Jean Acker appeared as the perfect solution to mounting speculation. A struggling actress desperate for career revival and magazine coverage, she agreed to a November 1919 wedding that would restore Valentino's romantic credibility while securing her the film contracts she'd never dreamed possible. Their ceremony was photographed extensively and plastered across every major newspaper as proof of the Latin lover's conventional romantic nature. But on their wedding night at the Alexandria Hotel, Jean made a decision that revealed the hollow foundation of their arrangement. She locked her bedroom door, leaving Valentino alone in the hallway of his own honeymoon suite. A friend later confided that Jean felt suffocated by the realization that she was merely a supporting player in an endless performance with no authentic moments of connection. They never lived as husband and wife, meeting only when studio photographers needed images for publicity campaigns. The marriage dissolved within 2 years, but Hollywood's machinery simply reset the stage for another performance. Pressure from both the studio and Valentino's Italian family pushed him into a second sham marriage with costume designer Natasha Rambova, proving that in Golden Age Hollywood, the show always had to go on, regardless of the human cost to its unwilling performers. Anthony Perkins and Barry Berenson. The 30-year performance. By 1972, Anthony Perkins had become trapped by his own success. The role of Norman Bates in Psycho had made him famous but typecast him in disturbing characters that limited his romantic leading man potential. More critically, Hollywood's social hierarchy still demanded the appearance of conventional family life for A-list acceptance, and Perkins understood that marriage was his ticket into the rooms where careers were shaped. Barry Berenson entered his life at precisely the right moment. A talented photographer from New York's wealthy social circles, she moved comfortably through Vogue and Harper's Bazaar events where fashion, art, and power intersected. Marrying Barry meant Perkins gained not only a beautiful wife for public appearances, but also entry into Manhattan's elite cultural world where the right connections could transform a career. Their 1973 Beverly Hills wedding was intimate, but strategically perfect, attended by carefully selected guests whose presence would spin the right narrative for both the press and industry insiders. Almost immediately, Perkins began receiving offers from directors who had previously hesitated, his new family man image opening doors that had remained firmly closed to the bachelor version of himself. Behind their shared mansion's elegant facade, separate wings housed separate lives. Perkins maintained his real relationships through coded phone calls and secret meetings, while Barry gradually accepted that affection would never grow between them. Their performance lasted nearly 20 years until Perkins died of AIDS in 1992. Tragically, Barry carried their secret to her own death aboard American Airlines Flight 11 on September 11, 2001, ensuring that one of Hollywood's most enduring sham marriages would remain forever shrouded in silence. Tab Hunter and Nan Morris. The photo shoot that became a prison tab hunter's ocean blue eyes and perfect smile made him America's golden boy in the mid-1950s. Every film set box offices ablaze, every magazine cover sent teenage hearts racing, and every public appearance confirmed his status as the ideal romantic fantasy. This success made him valuable enough to exploit and vulnerable enough to manipulate by those who understood how to monetize celebrity in Hollywood's golden age. The trap was sprung through what Hunter believed was a harmless publicity stunt. A media friend suggested staging fake wedding photographs with a young starlet to boost both their profiles. Trusting in Hollywood's tradition of manufactured romance, Hunter agreed to what he thought would be a brief photo session at a rented Beverly Hills mansion, followed by the quiet dissolution of their pretend relationship. 2 weeks later, Hunter discovered his wedding photos blanketing newsstands from New York to San Francisco. Photoplay magazine had dubbed it the fairy tale marriage of the year, while a Chicago publisher rushed out a wedding album that sold over 200,000 copies in its first month. The windfall enriched everyone except Hunter, who watched helplessly as his carefully constructed bachelor image was replaced by a family man persona he had never chosen. The manufactured marriage trapped Hunter in countless promotional appearances where he was forced to smile and lie about plans for children and domestic bliss. While publicly performing heterosexual devotion, he secretly continued his real relationship with Anthony Perkins through clandestine meetings at Fire Island and West Hollywood apartments. Only when he finally escaped Hollywood's machinery decades later did Hunter find the freedom to live authentically with partner Alan Glazer, ultimately marrying legally when California allowed same-sex unions. Barbara Stanwyck and Robert Taylor. 18 Years Without Love. In late 1938, MGM's most profitable stars carried secrets that threatened to destroy their carefully constructed images. Barbara Stanwyck was whispered to be Hollywood's most powerful lesbian, while Robert Taylor was frequently spotted with men from the fashion and photography worlds. When persistent rumors began reaching gossip columnists, studio boss Louis B. Mayer summoned both stars to his Culver City office for a meeting that would reshape their lives. Mayer's directive was simple and non-negotiable. They would marry in May 1939 to protect both their careers and the studio's massive investment in their star power. The wedding in San Diego became an MGM orchestrated fairy tale, complete with white gowns, diamond rings, and carefully positioned news cameras, capturing every moment for public consumption. But when the minister announced, "You may kiss the bride," Robert stepped back with an awkward smile, suggesting they save that for later. A photographer later admitted that no kissing photos existed because the moment simply never happened naturally between them. Their arranged marriage endured for 18 years, not from growing affection, but because all parties benefited from maintaining the illusion. MGM's golden couple image guaranteed box office returns and prestige, while both stars gained protection from scrutiny and the freedom to live privately within carefully managed boundaries. They shared a Beverly Hills mansion but occupied separate rooms, meeting primarily when MGM's publicity machine required romantic photographs for magazines. The performance finally ended in 1951 when Robert met Italian actress Lea DeLeo while filming in Rome. His cold dismissal of their marriage contract, "We both know this is for work," closed the curtain on nearly 2 decades of Hollywood's most professionally successful sham marriage. Tyrone Power and Annabella. The War Bride's Secret. Unlike many stars forced into arrangements by studio pressure, Tyrone Power willingly entered a marriage performance in 1939. But his motivations were far more complex than simple career protection. His bride, Annabella, was an elegant French actress whose circumstances created a perfect storm of mutual necessity disguised as Hollywood romance. With World War II looming, Annabella faced potential loss of her U.S. residency if her visa expired. As a French citizen, she risked being trapped in war-torn Europe unless she could secure permanent American status. Marriage to Power offered fast-track citizenship and a long-term contract with 20th Century Fox that would keep her safely in Hollywood while her homeland burned. Power's motivations were equally practical, but more hidden. Following his father's death, he faced mounting debts and complex property disputes that threatened his financial stability. His lawyers suggested that transferring assets into his wife's name, specifically a newly naturalized foreign citizen, could exploit existing tax loopholes while shielding wealth from potential seizure. Their wedding became a mutually beneficial contract dressed in white silk and wedding cake, marketed to the public as a romantic love story while serving each partner's survival needs. Declassified FBI files later revealed additional complications. Annabella's connections to suspected French resistance figures had drawn intelligence attention, and marriage to heroic Tyrone Power shifted press coverage away from uncomfortable political questions. The arrangement included secret financial terms that granted Annabella 3 lead roles in Fox films within 5 years, plus exclusive control of their Beverly Hills mansion, property she retained after their quiet 1948 divorce, having successfully weathered both war and Hollywood's demands while securing her American future. Cole Porter and Linda Lee Thomas, the $1 Million Alliance. Cole Porter's marriage to Linda Lee Thomas represented the pinnacle of Golden Age Hollywood's sophisticated approach to mutually beneficial arrangements. Far beyond simple career protection, their union linked New York society, European aristocracy, and entertainment industry power in ways that multiplied wealth and influence for both partners while perfectly concealing Porter's private life. Linda, widow of newspaper tycoon Edward R. Thomas, possessed vast inherited wealth and deep connections to British and French aristocracy. Post-World War I, legal restrictions on unmarried Americans threatened some of her European assets, while marriage to Porter, already established in Paris and deeply embedded in continental art circles, would secure her international holdings and open new investment opportunities through his theatrical connections. Porter gained far more than protective cover for his relationships with men. Linda's unlimited financial backing enabled his most ambitious musical and theatrical projects, while her aristocratic connections provided access to Europe's most exclusive salons where artistic relationships translated directly into money, influence, and protection from potential scandals. Their Paris soirees became legendary among the international elite, featuring royalty, film stars, writers, and composers alongside carefully selected young male actors and dancers who never appeared in press coverage. Linda understood exactly who Cole spoke with and why, but their unspoken agreement granted him complete freedom within the safety of their public partnership. When Linda died in 1954, Porter lost more than a wife. He lost the strategic partner who had protected him in the scandal-prone intersection of art, politics, and international high society. Their 30-year alliance had been so perfectly constructed that even her death couldn't expose the sophisticated financial and social machinery that had sustained one of entertainment's most successful partnerships. Janet Gaynor and Adrian, the pregnancy that became a fortune. The 1939 wedding of Janet Gaynor and MGM costume designer Adrian appeared to be Hollywood's perfect artistic union, the beloved star of A Star is Born marrying the visionary creator behind cinema's most glamorous gowns. Life magazine's exclusive photo spread captured their radiant smiles and elegant ceremony. But beneath the surface lay a last-minute deal designed to save both from separate disasters that could have destroyed their careers. Janet's crisis emerged from an unexpected pregnancy following a brief affair with powerful director Howard Hawks, who was quietly under FBI investigation for suspected involvement in European smuggling operations. Any public connection between Janet and Hawks could have implicated her in federal crimes while destroying her wholesome image that MGM had spent years cultivating. Adrian faced his own catastrophe, nearly $250,000 in debt to MGM for repeatedly exceeding budgets on elaborate costume designs for The Women and Marie Antoinette. Studio boss Louis B. Mayer was already threatening contract termination and a lawsuit for damages that would have bankrupted the designer and ruined his reputation. A mutual agent recognized the perfect solution in their overlapping crises. If Adrian legally became the father of Janet's unborn child, the press connection to Hawks would be severed, while MGM could transform a potential scandal into a profitable fairy tale for public consumption. In exchange, Mayer agreed to erase Adrian's entire debt and provide him with a lucrative 5-year design contract. Their Beverly Hills wedding was staged with every detail carefully directed by MGM's publicity machine, from the exclusive guest list to the camera angles that captured their happiness. The resulting Life magazine photo spread generated enough revenue to prove that well-managed scandals could become the studio's most profitable investments in their stars' carefully constructed public images. William Haynes and Jimmy Shields, the rebellion that shocked MGM. In early 1933, William Haynes commanded the highest salary of any leading man at MGM, his box office appeal making him virtually untouchable within the studio system. But a group of tabloid publishers and paparazzi had discovered something more valuable than any blockbuster film: photographs of Haynes walking Santa Monica Beach with Jimmy Shields, his longtime live-in partner, whose relationship threatened to expose Hollywood's most carefully guarded secret. The proposed deal was straightforward and potentially lucrative for everyone involved. Haynes would stage a spontaneous proposal to a rising starlet, followed by an elaborate ceremony in Beverly Hills with exclusive photo rights sold to major magazines. The resulting wedding album and honeymoon photo series could generate profits for over a year, while completely erasing Jimmy's existence from Haynes's public narrative. When studio representatives arrived at his West Hollywood home with contracts requiring only his signature for hundreds of thousands of dollars, Haynes faced the defining choice of his career. Compliance meant wealth and continued stardom. Refusal meant professional exile and public scrutiny of his private life that could destroy both him and Jimmy. Haynes's response became a Hollywood legend. Standing in his own doorway, he delivered a line that stunned the assembled group. "I'm not selling my love for a few photographs. Take that contract somewhere else." His refusal to commodify his relationship marked the end of his film career, but the beginning of something more valuable: authentic life lived on his own terms. Within weeks, all of Haynes's studio contracts were terminated, but he and Jimmy didn't disappear. They opened an interior design business serving ultra-wealthy clients, including many stars who themselves had been forced into sham marriages for survival. Their Malibu beach house became a sanctuary where late-night parties of only men could laugh and love without cameras or contracts, proving that some things remained beyond Hollywood's ability to purchase. Danny Kaye and Sylvia Fine, the 47-year production. Recent Library of Congress recordings donated by their daughter revealed the confession that unlocked a secret Hollywood had protected for nearly half a century. In a newly discovered clip, Sylvia Fine's voice rings with startling clarity. Audiences always believed what we performed for them on stage and at home. For film historians, it was the admission that confirmed decades of speculation about one of entertainment's most enduring partnerships. Danny met Sylvia in 1939 during New York rehearsals for the Straw Hat Revue, when rumors about his closeness with male colleagues threatened his emerging career. Sylvia was a talented composer from comfortable Brooklyn circumstances, still struggling for Broadway recognition. Their hasty Florida wedding coincided perfectly with Danny's national tour contract, timing that revealed calculation rather than romance. For Danny, Sylvia provided the perfect shield: press-savvy, quick-witted enough to deflect uncomfortable questions, and sophisticated enough to manage the complex social requirements of stardom. For Sylvia, Danny represented a first-class ticket to Hollywood's center, offering fame, connections, and power rarely accessible to women composers of that era. Their Beverly Hills mansion operated like a two-scene theatrical production. Upstairs was the public world of bright lights, producers, reporters, and glamorous actresses performing for carefully invited audiences. Downstairs in the music room was Danny's private world of dim lighting, jazz, cigarette smoke, and his closest male friends. A space Sylvia carefully protected by ensuring no one descended without appearing on her special list. By 1947, their lifetime partnership had evolved into a detailed legal contract that included 6-month separation agreements specifying exact dates and times they had to appear together in public to maintain their happy family image. When each term ended, they reconciled not from rekindled affection, but because the Danny and Sylvia brand remained profitable for both parties, sustaining a 47-year performance that ended only with Danny's death in 1987. Charles Laughton and Elsa Lanchester. The wedding that legalized a fortune. The marriage of Charles Laughton and Elsa Lanchester appeared to represent artistic souls finding perfect union. The Oscar-winning actor of profound dramatic range, paired with the sharp-witted British actress whose laugh could slice through pretension like a blade. But their 1929 London wedding began with a secret that remained hidden for decades, involving displaced European art and international smuggling that required marriage to legalize. The conspiracy originated at a Mayfair party in 1928, where a mysterious European dealer displayed an art and antique collection worth hundreds of thousands of pounds. Many pieces were suspected to have been displaced from European museums following World War I's chaos, making them impossible to own legally through conventional channels. Laughton secretly purchased much of the collection at severely reduced prices, convinced of its eventual massive appreciation when international art markets recovered. British and French import laws created immediate problems for a single man attempting to own such a vast, suspiciously sourced fortune. Authorities would inevitably investigate the collection's origins, leading to seizure and criminal charges that could destroy Laughton's emerging career. Elsa Lanchester appeared as the perfect solution, an intelligent, respected actress with a spotless legal reputation who could legitimize the collection through marriage. Their wedding was celebrated with laughter, white satin, and glowing press coverage about artistic love conquering all obstacles. No one suspected that immediately following the ceremony, the entire art collection was legally transferred to Mrs. Lofton, transforming potentially criminal property into legitimate dowry that could be safely transported to America under diplomatic protection. When they moved to Hollywood, these treasures became the centerpiece of their Beverly Hills mansion, with impressionist paintings lining walls and Greek vases displayed in their living room. The collection didn't merely elevate their social standing, it connected Charles with California's wealthiest art collectors while providing the financial foundation for both their careers and their carefully maintained secret. These 13 couples lived through Hollywood's most glittering era, their wedding photographs gracing magazine covers and their love stories captivating millions of moviegoers around the world. Yet behind every perfect smile and romantic embrace lay contracts, calculations, and compromises that reveal the true machinery of America's dream factory. Their stories illuminate a time when love was secondary to profit, when authentic relationships were sacrificed to protect careers worth millions, and when the very stars who embodied romance on screen were denied the freedom to love authentically in their own lives. These weren't simply marriages of convenience, they were elaborate business arrangements that treated human hearts as commodities to be bought, sold, and strategically deployed for maximum public consumption. What emerges from these hidden histories is both heartbreaking and remarkable. The resilience of people who found ways to protect what mattered most while navigating an industry that demanded they sacrifice everything genuine for the sake of illusion. Some, like William Haynes and Jimmy Shields, chose love over stardom and found happiness in their rebellion. Others, like Barbara Stanwyck and Robert Taylor, endured decades of performance to maintain their careers while secretly living authentic lives in private moments stolen from the studio system's relentless demands. Their courage in protecting love under impossible circumstances reminds us that even in Hollywood's most artificial era, the human heart remained ultimately unconquerable. If these stories moved you, share them with someone who needs to know that love has always found a way, even in the most unlikely places. And subscribe for more hidden histories that reveal the human truth behind the Golden Age's most beautiful lies.